Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good night. I'm going to share with y'all day 4 activity with,
Garage door.
sorry, share the screen here. Not that screen. My bad. Sorry. That's the screen. There we are. Okay, so personal fitness. Again, where am I at? Once you go to the classroom, you go to classwork. And you've done day 1, day 2, notes and exit tickets, day 2 and day 3. Kind of a lot of reading. This is probably the most reading you'll do all term, all right? So we're getting all the reading out of the way. And hopefully you're getting the point of getting moving and eating right are two of the main ways to kind of increase your physical fitness, all right? There's a balance. If you have all energy in and no output, the energy stays in, right, and gets converted. If you have all output, no energy in, then you look like me. You get malnourished and faint and such. So you want to have a good balance of in and out. You checked your pulse. You've learned that exercise increases your pulse. We're not ready to do those exercises yet. That was just a day 2 kind of activity to get you to, just like day 3's reading reinforces the pulse checking. So I want to go over 2 things with you. First, in the reading, cardiorespiratory fitness. Oh, this is from yesterday. I'm sorry. Well, still, I'm going to reiterate this. So in this reading, right down here, all right, you have the normals, ranges. So here on your own paper, you don't need to make a table or anything. You take 220. This is the starting number. Now, what we're doing is letting your heart tell you if that exercise was easy, moderate, or intense. All of it is good physical activity. We're just trying to rate it as easy, moderate, or difficult. And when I say difficult, what I mean is high intensity. Okay, so when you're doing your daily activity journals, in that final column, talks about intensity. Easy is a legit intensity. It's movement still. Moderate, or what I call difficult, you could call intense, high intensity. Okay, how do you know? Is it based on how much of a sweat you break? Well, no, because we all sweat differently. I have to be cutting the grass in the middle of July or August in order to break a sweat. I just don't sweat much. Others in my family sweat quite easily and are always complaining. And so we have that never-ending argument of the thermostat because somebody's hot and somebody's cold.
Garage door.
Sorry about the doorbell. So because it's personal fitness, we can't judge ourselves, our sweat, our huffing, our puffing, anything like that on how that exercise was. It just, some of us are huffing and puffing before others are. So how do we determine this? 220 minus your age, okay? So let's say I'm 30. What's 220 minus 30? That should be 190. So 190 is my maximum heart rate. I should not be at 190 for long, if at all. I want to keep it under 190. So right after exercising, I count my pulse for about 10 seconds, multiply by 6, and I get my beats per minute. If that number is approaching 190, that's too much. Most of us will not be there, though. But you do want to keep a watch out for it, okay? So how do we figure out our target heart rates? For easy intensity and moderate intensity, you can use these 2, all right? So 50% level. So you take that number you got. In my case, 220 minus 30 would be 190. So 190 times 0.50. Okay, that's going to give you some number. This example is with a 14-year-old kid. And so 206 was the number they got. So 206 times 0.5 was 103. That person, teenager, is getting 103 to 144. Somewhere around this range, they're easy intensity. If they're somewhere around the range, and I would say give or take 10, right? So maybe 95 to 115 or 120, you could say is easy. I would say then take that same number, 206, times 0.70, that would be 70% of your maximum. And that would be kind of a moderate intensity range, be a little higher. So moderate intensity range is 103 to 144. That's a pretty broad range. So if it's closer to the 103, call it easy intensity. If it's closer to the 144, the halfway mark maybe between there, 125 again, you could call it moderate. Now you take that same number, 144, you see how that comes down here? So 85%, that'd be pretty intense. So 206, which is the number you got from up here, times 0.85. You can do this on a calculator, all right? You just punch in those numbers, 206, or whatever your number is. Remember, this is your age, so you're going to have a different number here in all these spots. So you just take your number and multiply by 0.85, which represents percent, and you're going to get another beats per minute. So this becomes kind of the intent. So this is where you want your intent. So this is when you're on a full-on run or jog or on the treadmill going, or after a full minute of jumping jacks or whatever it is. I mean, this is generating a sweat. This is going to cause some huffing and puffing. All right, this would be high intensity. So I'm not looking for exact numbers, and it won't take you but about a week to figure out. You'll be able to gauge for yourself without having to take your pulse. But in the beginning, you might need to take your pulse right after you exercise. Do it for 10 seconds, multiply by 6, bam, 10 seconds. You have that timer or phone on hand. Whatever number that is, after 10 seconds, multiply by 6, that's the number. Compared to your own ranges, because you got to figure out this range. And that's what you'll put, easy, moderate, moderate or difficult intensity. That's a lot to think about, but that's the way you use this chart. Now, again, you don't have to get exact numbers. Once you get to know yourself and how you respond to these exercises, you'll be able to tell whether that was easy or moderate, okay? But we're going to let our hearts tell us best, and that depends on beats per minute. Any questions? Moving forward. So I'm going out of this now. Come back over here. Assignment 3, this again was today. You left your good job with the routines. So day 4, you don't see this yet, but you will. So it's not a lot today. You're going to continue that same 15-minute stretch routine you did yesterday. Okay, same one. So the day 4 notes, the wellness guidelines. Open this up. You can here answer on your own paper, or you can create a doc. What you might have to do is have 2 tabs of Google Classroom if you want to do this on a doc. If you're working from phone, it might be easier just to write your own paper. But basically, you're going to have 8 things. These are the 8 wellness guidelines, and you're going to record a benefit for maintaining or for decreasing or increasing each of these things. Okay. Right here, what they're looking for, what you're going to tell me is a behavior, and you don't have to have this as a chart. You can write this in your own notes. A behavior, one of your own personal behaviors, some family member, or just in general, humans. What's a behavior that you've observed in relation to these things here? Do you know a vegetarian, fruit addict? Do you know a food junkie? Do you know someone who definitely needs to increase their conflict resolution skills? I mean, a breakfast skipper. Most of us are breakfast skippers. We need to have a little something. So just things that you have observed. What do you feel the outcome is of that? Grumpiness because they're hungry, stress of others around them because they're not resolving conflicts. You don't have to go into detail. It doesn't have to get real personal. And you don't have to fill all of these. Just try to do about 3 different behaviors that are related to these guidelines. Tell me what the guideline number is. If you're picking a behavior related to decreasing sugary beverage consumption, maybe someone went to diet Coke, or maybe someone stopped sodas and went to water and something that happened with them, or teas. Just a short behavior. What was the outcome of that behavior, and which guideline does it relate to? Well, in that case, it would be guideline number 1. Okay, you can organize that any way you want it. Again, 3 examples is fine. And then answer these 3 questions. All right. Now, you can take a picture of your notes and email that to me. Or again, you can type all this out in a Google Doc. You do not have to type all of this. You can just type out your answers to the question. Okay. You just label 1 through 8. You don't have to write all of this unless it's easy for you to type it out. You can just number 1 through 8 and then tell me a benefit of maintaining that particular guideline. And likewise, just describe a behavior, the outcome, and tell me the guideline number, and then answer those 3. You don't have to retype everything. I hope that makes sense to you, but that's the only thing you really have to do today. Now, well, it's not, I lied. I want you to make a SMART goal. SMART goal, you're going to follow this. Now, this is not mandatory, but if you want more information on what a SMART goal is, here's a wonderful little PowerPoint. It tells you what a SMART goal is. Some of you have seen this before, possibly. Realistic, measurable. So click on this. This will remind you of what the wellness guidelines are, 1 through 8. Remember that your goal should be action-oriented. I would pick just one goal. And it doesn't have to relate directly to this. I've seen many different ones. I've seen, I'm going to drink more water. That's a goal. Within these 8 weeks, if your goal is to increase water consumption, perfect, write that. What are you going to do when you're at the store then? How are you going to behave, and what are you going to do differently to ensure that you get water as opposed to whatever it is you used to drink? It can include a diet. It can include an increase of physical activity. That might be an easy one because by nature of this class, hopefully you should be increasing your physical activity. Measurable, what are you going to do to measure that? Are you going to weigh yourself? Are you going to keep the water in a particular glass that you fill up a certain number of times a day? Okay. Is it realistic? I'm going to drink a gallon a day for, oh my gosh, no, don't do that. 1, never leave the bathroom, and 2, you might even make yourself sick. So make it attainable, realistic, time bound. At the most, you're probably going to work on this for 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. I would pick one of those time frames. You can measure that. And then ultimately, I mean, you don't really have to fill all this out. These are things I want you to think about and to write down. You're going to write out the entire goal, and that's what you'll submit. Okay. So actually, I'm sorry, you're not going to submit the SMART goal. You're going to keep your SMART goal. I hope that was clear. This is day 4. Today's wellness guidelines and SMART goals. I did take time to review how to get your pulse and how to get your target heart rate. We'll get more into some of these things and examples on Monday. We will begin looking more at wellness guidelines. We're going to spend a little time every day looking at, we're going to cover about 4 to 5 of those guidelines, okay, over the next 2 weeks. That's going to be the purpose. Well, I hope you've been enjoying yourselves. I do want to make this disclaimer for everybody in the exercising that we're doing, stretching. I do this in face-to-face as well. Everyone's individual. I don't know if you've had knee surgery. I don't know if you've had a hip replacement or if you had, what do you call that surgery, you know, where they pinch off your stomach. I don't know if you're pregnant. I don't know if you broke your arm in the past and what your limitations are. Everybody has their own, if you played sports in high school, you probably have some joint issues. So you just got to look up an stretch routine. I'll be posting a couple of them after all this, but I want you first to explore and push yourself, but don't overdo yourself. Okay. Just getting moving and doing this is already going to be of benefit to you. If you're in a stretch routine and you're able to do something and all of a sudden they did something you couldn't do, don't stress it. Sit that one out or adapt it. Okay. Do it from a chair. So instead of standing and reaching down, trying to touch your toes, sit on the edge of a chair, secure chair, and straighten your legs out in front of you and try to touch about the middle of your legs or where your knees are. And over the days and weeks, maybe you go from your knees to the middle of your legs, and maybe by sitting, eventually you'll be able to reach down to your ankles while sitting down. Okay, so use common sense, protect yourself, make sure you're in safe surroundings, get others in your household to help or exercise with you so you don't feel alone. We will be putting ourselves on camera. This week was also to get used to putting on Flipgrid and filming ourselves. Today, I'm going to do yoga for the first time at 3 o'clock. I might tape some of myself and post it up for y'all. I'll lead the way there. And remember, I mean, I teach health, personal fitness. I've enjoyed sports, but I'm not a fitness guru, so it's almost as hard for me as it is for you. Psychologically, I've been blessed physically that I look like an anorexic, malnourished boy. That's just my body. I look at my dad, I'm a spitting image. So I know we all have our different personal challenges. I think I've said everything. Have a great weekend. You don't have to have all those things due by midnight. I'll put up an exit ticket that's much shorter, but work on those things and try to have them done by Monday. Okay? All right. Arrivederci. Stop sharing.